TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Plenty of goals were scored in the BFA Premier League this weekend. As we count down, we're into the second half of the BFA Premier League. And this is TouchLine, of course, sponsored by Powerade and Dasani and powered by the Barbados Football Association. Tonight, I have two guests with me. Of course, Robin Paris, he's the former Barbados national goalkeeper, and I have the president of Wotton Football Club, Rashad Belgrave. Well, this is where we take a pause and come back with highlights and analysis on TouchLine. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Welcome back to TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani and Powerade, and of course powered by the Barbados Football Association. Well, no time to waste. Let's get straight into the highlights from Super Sunday at the BFA Technical Centre.
Opening match featuring Kickstart Rush in the blue, playing Britain's Hill. Only 8 minutes into the contest, the throw. In Britain's Hill, 3-1. The next fixture, a key one, with the title race heating up. Paradise playing UWI Blackbirds in the yellow strip. 39th minute, Shaquan Clark with service to Sharan Hoyt on a platter. The Magician adds the garnishes. 1-0 to the boys from Dover. Second half we go, change of ends, caution. Paradise, cutting edge in transition. Hoyt, reversal. Kemal Savory on his bike. Caden Hee-chung shaken. Savory on the score sheet. Make it 2-0. Second half we go. Paradise smelling blood in the water. Free kick. Bullet header from Thiago Barrow in the 54th minute. 3-0. The Blackbirds stuck in their own half. Paradise tighten their grip. Griffith, unmarked, completes his brace. Paradise on cloud 9. 4-0. The icing on the cake came in the 65th. Shamari Herwood getting 2 bites at the cherry. The result then, Paradise 5, UWI Blackbirds 0. The goal spree continued in the nightcap game. Ellerton in red battling Wotton. The first salvo on 3 minutes. Shaquille Bell using his speed and clever footwork. They don't come any easier. 1-0 Ellerton. Rock bottom in the standings. Not much to smell about for Wotton. Ellerton could see the 3 points manifesting itself. Rashawn Speedy Giddens to Marco St. Hill. Turns and delivers 2-0. No defensive shape for Wotton. Ellerton had an all-access pass. Bell says caring is sharing. Casham Moore converts 3-0 at halftime. 4 minutes after the resumption, Gittins scored to make it 4-0. A celebration unique, to say the least. Amazingly, but not surprisingly, 4 more goals were added. Bell teed up his second in the 57th minute from the left side. Then on the receiving end for his hat-trick on 82 minutes. Well done indeed. That's now 6-0. Anson Barrow and Gittins will then deliver the knockout punches. Wotton floored in yet another match as Ellerton cruise to an 8-0 win.
Yeah, lots of goals in the BFA Premier League on Super Sunday. And let's begin with Wotton. Yesterday, the news that the head coach Marlon Hart decided to step down, that kind of rocked the Barbados Football Association's Premier League. The news of that sent shockwaves through the island. And Belgrave, you, the caretaker boss of Wotton, into the hot seat and an 8-0 defeat. It went from bad to worse. Tell us about it.
Well, obviously, the news came in the morning from the coach, not just the head coach, but the assistant coach as well, Mario Van der Poel. So we lost the coaching staff before that game. Obviously, not much time to get a substitute coach, so I took the mantle of coach on the night. Yeah, a staunch beating from my first outing. but that's the things you do when you have a community club. You know, you step up and you take position wherever the position is. You're the cook. You're the head cook and bottle washer for the whole team. It has been a very difficult season. Yes, coming from the Prime Minister's Cup, we got to the third place match, but from there we just fell. We just keep falling. What I would say is that during the transfer window, we lost some very critical and integral players. A whole host of them, from King to Ford to Seeley. A number of solid players left. So, and we took in a bit of youth as well. So we are missing the experience to compensate with the youth. But right now we are struggling, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, sometimes your club go through a period where they're not performing as you would like them to perform. Obviously, the coach would have probably he gave his resignation and his reasons, but basically the team wasn't doing well, and probably found it probably some personal or professional reasons really why they withdrew. But it is what it is, and we will look to fight and push forward. Yes, we're on a downward trajectory, but it's not when you lose, it's how you lose. So I believe that we should still go down fighting and just show what you're made of at this point in time, because it's when you're losing is the time to show some character.
Do you believe that this Wotton team can avoid the relegation?
Well, you see, that's the question we were trying to answer last night, because obviously the team was in a bit of upheaval. The coach left. You know, some players come to a team because of a coach, really. So some players, you know, we don't know where their mental faculties are in terms of whether they want to continue playing or if they're not coming because of the coach leave. So we didn't have time to answer those questions yesterday, but during the week, when we call some practice, we should know what direction we're heading. But yes, the trajectory looks a bit unfortunate, but if you have a turnaround somewhere during the season, we would like to capitalize on that.
Look at Ellerton now, Robin. I'll bring you into the discussion. Ellerton now just 1 point behind the leaders, Paradise. An impressive performance against Wotton last night.
Yeah, definitely. And very compact and very composed, taking advantage of Wotton's not being too united at this point in time. But however, Ellerton seemed to be on their game, 1 point behind Paradise. Second place on goal difference in front of Kickstart. So they're doing well. They seem to be focused. They've achieved a lot thus far this year. And we also say, Amar, looking at the standings alone, it reads well for football. It's unfortunate that Wotton has, is in the bottom of the table, but it's one of those seasons where the top teams are getting points. They're not dropping in much points, and it argues well for the football. 1 point, 1 point actually separating the first 5. Look at Wales. Wales has a game in hand.
Yeah.
Win that game and they could, right back into the running. So, Wotton and St. Andrew Lions just all to play for. Obviously, my little advice to Rashid is, I get the impression he's a community guy. He said he's a chief cook and bottle wash, so just keep it together. And my thing is, in coaching philosophy, you get more, you learn more out of losing than winning. Winning masks a lot of results, a lot of bad habits, etc. But take the losing as a positive. Even if you're demoted and you come back and and have to come back and get some players and develop some more players, the younger generation, get your academy going and go. Demotion is part of life, just like promotion, just like winning, just like losing, etc. And there's always positive thinking to take away from losing.
Yeah, let's now go back to the opening match of the evening. Kickstart Rush defeating British Hill, and that was a match that everyone had their eyes on. Correct. Of course, British Hill, they did taste the top spot in the BFA Premier League. Right. And of course, Kickstart Rush responding so brilliantly. And we're now at the halfway stage in the Premier League, and I'll bring you back into the conversation, Rashid. How much of a likelihood do you believe we can have a new Premier League champion this time around? Because people are saying, in my conversations with a number of the fans, a number of the officials, people who generally like Barbados football, is that this is one of the most competitive league seasons that we've had for some time.
For sure.
Yeah, I do agree. And just to start on where you just left off of Kickstart Rush, they have been getting progressively better. Yeah. I would say the team is, from their performance in the Prime Minister's Cup, I know that they would be a solid team to challenge some of the more senior teams or experienced teams in the Premier League. I think Ellerton beat Wales the other day as well. So, and UE, which was a top tier side last year in the Premier League and in the Prime Minister's Cup as well, kind of struggling. So you can see that there has been some shifting in terms of experience and talent amongst the teams, and you can see that some teams that are supposed to be doing well, they're getting some a serious fight from those coming up, because I think Bagatelle is doing well as well. I think Bagatelle is doing well. St. Andrew Lions was really looking, because they fought very hard to come back into the Premier League, so I was really looking forward to them to do very well in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, Robin, your thoughts on the battle that we have on our hands,
well, it's serious,
especially at the top? Correct.
And again, the first three teams yesterday, they won, and they won handsomely as well. So there's no margin for error. The Paradise team, I would call them the bulldoze of the football, of the pace that they're setting. This is about 4 or 5 rounds they've been setting this pace, and they're maintaining it. They know what they have to do. If they slip, they slide. Allerton, Kickstart, British Hill. But for me, Kickstart has been very clinical. They've been very tactical, match prepared. Obviously, their style of play depends on who they are playing. Obviously, that comes with Rashad Jules and how he prepares his team, what style he wants to play, etc. And Paradise, as I said, they've just been phenomenal with young Hoyt up front, who's probably our better marksman in the country at this time. And he's just hitting in the nearby almost every game now. He probably has to be the top goal scorer in the Premier League.
Yeah, and you mentioned Paradise, and we saw a brace yesterday from Kemal Griffith. As you know, Paradise, they went on to beat UE Blackbirds 5-0. Yeah. It's a 6-0 for the Blackbirds, Rashid. What are your thoughts on last night's match with Paradise being so dominant?
Well, again, I base my point of view coming from the Prime Minister's Cup.
Yes.
Right? Kickstart performed brilliantly. Paradise was performing brilliantly as well. So moving into the Premier League, and with the saturation of such good players in the transfer window, Ellerton will know what I'm speaking about. Paradise has they came out to the Prime Minister's Cup with a solid team, and they still brought in some very good players. So I was expecting Kickstart Rush, Paradise to be dominant in this in the Premier League. I was also looking for Ellerton to be dominant as well, and British Hill. Unfortunately, British Hill was beaten last night, but I'm still looking forward to them to be a dominant team, because I think they're taking Villain and some other players during the transfer.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, so just based on the transfers alone, I know some teams would have been strengthened completely to the point where they would be taught. Who you see in the top 3 or top 5 right now are the teams who really went shopping in the transfer market, right? And they're performing to the goal they probably set out in terms of the players they wanted, the style they want to play, and really want to get in the league right now. So yeah, I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised.
Not surprised at all. Neither am I. And I know, Robin, you are as well.
Definitely, the pattern of play, putting passes together, 1-2 plays, even down front to the goalkeeper playing with his foot. Kickstart probably has that better goalkeeper in terms of starting the ball rolling and linking up midfield, etc. Game plans, so for me, Paradise, Kickstart, Ellerton, British Hill, Wales, it sounds about right in any order. I remember early on in the season, after about 3 games, we were saying, UWI was probably bringing up the rear or so, but they've gained some momentum.
Correct.
They're about mid-table, 7th or something to that magnitude. But all in all, it's a good season, total football, and still another round to play.
Yeah, most definitely agree. It's time where we take a pause and come back with more on Touchline, of course, sponsored by Powerade, the SANI, and the Barbados Football Association. We'll be Touchline, sponsored by the SANI. Live first, the SANI after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Touchline, sponsored by the SANI. Live first, the SANI after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Welcome back to Touchline, sponsored by the SANI and Powerade, and powered by the Barbados Football Association. It's time for Link Up, that feature where we talk to one of the outstanding players in the BFA Premier League. And tonight we have a chat with Rashad Jules, the Wales frontman who's been missing in action.
I would say my journey started at home in Brother Hill, running both these guys like Arantes and them names. In Brother Hill, I was a youngster, primary school age, and then into secondary school with Mr. Hamlet. Football, it didn't really start as football in Brother Hill. It started as kind of like track and field, running on the road, racing the older guys, and then I just branched off into football because I found that the possibilities again of scholarship was likely for me. When I was denied eligibility for Appalachian State University in North Carolina, I think that was the biggest block for me. I wanted to give up at that point. I really don't know what kept me playing, but at that point, that was the point for sure that I know that I wanted to give up.
Why you wanted to give up?
Basically because I felt like I worked all my life to get that opportunity. And some people behind the desk that probably didn't know the schooling system in Barbados thought that I did 3 college years already and revoked my scholarship for right to Appalachian State.
Any idols in this sport? What's your biggest motivation? What keeps you going?
My daughter. Yeah, my daughter and my wife. For sure, and the people that support me, they also keep me going. People that believe in me at points where I didn't even believe in myself. Them are the people that keep me going, keep me still playing.
What would you have to say to youngsters coming up that wants to get into football?
Stay disciplined. Discipline is the key. You got days that you're gonna wake up and you feel like training. You got days that you're gonna wake up and things might not be going right, but you just gotta stay disciplined and fight through everything.
Yeah, always good to hear from Rashad Jules. He's also a former Barbados national football captain as well. Well, next we go to another segment. It's called the Goal of the Week. Touchline, sponsored by the SANI. Live first, the SANI after. And Powerade. Pause is power.
Kickstart on the move, 62nd minute. 3 players advancing towards the goal. Jamarco Johnson has a crack. Top tier finish. Goal of the week nominee, 2-0.
TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power.
Yeah, welcome back to TouchLine. What a top strike it was indeed. Coming up tomorrow, we have two big games at the BFA Technical Centre. Wales are taking on Bagatelle, and we have Pride of God Hill taking on St. Andrew Lions. As there you can see those fixtures on the screen. Let's have a bit of a chat about those games now. Robin, we'll start with you. Wales, an opportunity with a game in hand to get a bit closer to the front runners in the Premier League?
Yeah, obviously with using that game in hand and getting full points will be their main objective. And once they do that, they will be like probably second, close to the top, and keep cutting that gap. And that should do well. It's been a little topsy-turvy season for the Wales team thus far. They haven't been their fluent best. I've watched them against, I think it was British Hill it was, and they missed a lot of chances. The upright, actually it was kickstart, upright, keeper save, etc. But they weren't their fluent best from the back, linking with the forwards, etc. And maybe is gaining that momentum, peaking at the right time, and just taking their chances. So we'll see how that goes. But I think they'll be aggressive enough to try to get full points.
Yeah, I had a chat with Stefan Kammerbatch over the weekend, who plays for Bagatelle, and he's definitely confident ahead of that match. And he told me actually that if they could take at least a point from Wales, that it would do them good in terms of trying to stay up in the Premier League. I know when we went to the break, Rashid, you talked about the underdogs, Lions versus Pride of God Hill. That match should be enthralling tomorrow.
Yeah, Lions still one of the better defensive sides. They concede very little goals in the Premier League tournament coming into this tournament as well. God Hill, a standout team in terms of you got Messi, you got Shaqiri, you got persons that could finish, you have persons that could score. And God Hill always had a great reputation in terms of performing in the Premier League. Now, I just want to touch back on the game between Bagatelle and Wales.
Yes.
Yes, Wales is a dominant side, and we agree. But as you can see, most of the teams stepped up a bit in terms of how they want to perform. So where you had Wales dominating the Premier League, now you have teams, they're not in first. First time probably in history we're going into the second round and they're not topping the league, topping the table.
They have some work to do.
They got some work to do, and not just to have some work to do. When you're playing a better side, 9 out of 10 times, an average side always steps up, right? So you could imagine in the Bagatelle game that Bagatelle may come and play the best football they played for the whole season, just to beat Wales. So, and it's a morale booster when you beat a top tier side.
Correct.
So I would. Not have nothing against Wales, but you see, I like underdogs.
Yeah. And
Bagatelle is, like I said, was always my pick as an underdog side. So if they beat Wales, I would be happy. It would be a good morale boost for the team. Not saying that Wales would lose anything going down. Well, losing 1 point or even 3 points is hard in this sort of competitive league.
Correct.
But for Bagatelle, I think it would be a good morale boost, not just points, but once you beat the top tier side, anybody else come cut down.
I like what you said there, and I'm going to put Robin on the spot. Tomorrow, Robin, a defeat for Wales. Is that the title race over for them?
Almost. Mentally, it could be defeat for Wales. I don't think much. They're probably thinking that is there anything much more that could go wrong for them. But again, I get the impression like a Bagatelle or even British Hill are not. They're not fearing Wales anymore. You know, they're actually taking the game to Wales. So that in its sense will help the normal Ford team. You know, threaten the Wales team and make a good game of it. I tend to love the underdogs. So we can see how that goes. But for me, it's not impossible. So we will see how it goes. That could throw a lot. A Wales defeat or a Wales not getting the full 3 points could throw a lot of things in the open as well.
And this is not us being biased against Wales.
Nah, we just
promoting
Correct.
good positive football.
Good football. We just want the Premier League just to run its course. Paradise keep setting that pace. Well, I don't know who's going to be outside and etc. But we just want the football to be nice and and flowing and competitive and fair and frank. And watch the teams just flow as they can.
Yeah, a point I wanted to make just now also is that
final point. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Final point is Wales. They won the league, they won the Premier League, and they went to the CONCACAF tournament, right? So that's a goal. That's a goal set for other teams in the league. So beating Wales is not just beating Wales; is accomplishing what they could accomplish over the last year, and that's where most teams would like to go right now. So I think it should be some interesting football this season. Normally we don't at the bottom, but we can hold on. We can hopefully hold on for next season.
Some hope.
Thank you so much, Rashid. He's the president of Wotton Football Club, and thank you so much to Robin Paris, the former Barbados senior men's national goalkeeper. Well, guys, we've reached the end of our show tonight. On the behalf of our technical team, producer Damian Best, and Mark Goodrich Boyce. See you next Monday on the Touchline.